Howdy, Ags. Welcome to Aggie Growth Hacks, the podcast sponsored by the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M, and we are dedicated to helping entrepreneurs improve their business, connect with other Aggie entrepreneurs, and support one another. I'm your host, Greg Martin, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2001.
And I'm your co-host, Chris Hunter, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 1998.
Well, Ags, as we mentioned last week, we're visiting with Alex Spalding, Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2014, whose company, danielhouse.club, is the fastest growing Aggie-owned and operating company on this year's Aggie 100 list. If you have not listened to last week's episode, do yourself a favor and make sure you hit pause, go back and listen to that, pick up the gold nuggets of wisdom that Alex is dropping, and then come back and listen to this episode.
So pass it back and listen up to Alex as he shares some really good bull.
All right. So you've got 21 employees. You guys have had some massive growth, right? How many of those are like sales? Because it seems like you've got to have a pretty robust business development team to get in front of those manufacturers and convince them that they need to be in what century are we in now? The 21st century?
Well, you should get them a calendar because they don't know either. That's so again, double-sided marketplace. I would split the sales team out. If we're talking about vendors, this is a sore spot for me personally. We actually have no salespeople on that side, which has been a challenge. And it's not, I'm not going to say that's like a point of success that we have no salespeople. It's been deliberate that we've been focusing all on the for us consumer, the designer side.
Designers, yeah.
The demand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And generating that. And we have kind of a weird team set up, purposefully weird, but in development we have 3 salespeople for designers, and they're supported by about a 6-person sort of back-end customer service team. So we're pretty into specialization in your role as much as we can afford it as a smaller startup. And the salespeople are selling, and then the back-end customer support is supporting them in those. They create tickets and then kind of pass that in between. So we've been able to stay pretty nimble in that way. We are looking to, early next year, replicate that roughly on the manufacturer side, which is right now, we haven't done that mostly because, as I said before, the manufacturers are just so slow. We haven't really had that pressure of like insurmount. We have such a big backlog that we don't really need to go generate additional demand on that side. We just need to push through. I think we persistently over the last 2 years have had like 40 vendors in our backlog waiting to be uploaded. And so we've just saved money and said we don't need to try to sell to you. We're getting to the point where we actually, it's not necessarily about finding new vendors that we want to build that team, but new opportunities with existing vendors, which is a great new lesson, but they're always willing to do more for you if you're selling their things. And maybe they won't just give us a bigger discount, which we love, but they'll pay for marketing or they'll offer special sales and stuff. But that takes a lot of time to manage.
So, Alex, you've talked a little bit about how you've grown, not only from a revenue standpoint, you're at Aggie 100, but also from the team standpoint. What's the biggest challenge that you have experienced in that growth?
It's been super easy and nothing has gone wrong.
This entrepreneurship stuff is easy.
Yeah, do it. Just try it out.
Piece of cake.
4th generation, baby. Everybody can do it.
I got it. No, that is a really good question. I will say, that was definitely a joke. There's so many challenges. I am pleased that I don't feel like at any point anything's come off the wheels or felt like the wheels are about to come off. The obvious challenge is there are stages of growth that need outside financing. I am not a VC sales pitch person. Hope no VCs are watching this. I tend not to like them. I should whisper that. They can be annoying.
But we like your money.
Yes, please. No, there are some I just, very short-sighted industry that pushes in all sorts of weird ways and asks dumb questions. But that has presented a lot of challenges in the okay, how are we going to finance the next stage? How are we going to hire our sales team? How are we going to fund the next, $1 million of development time? And we've been creative and done that. We have raised a little bit of money. We've actually mostly done that through either small VCs or angels on 3 rounds, which is super painful to go through all of that time and ask that many people. But I'm really happy we did talk to some big VCs that might, just do a $1 to $3 million. I'm very happy we didn't do that because we have a lot more flexibility now and we can run how we want to. And we can be like, I was going to say slower growth. We're grown by like at least 3x the last 3 years in a row, but we get to do it the way we want to, which I'm very happy about, and be a lot more sustainable in the process. So we'll be profitable faster because we don't have to, have that $1 million, $2 million dev team. Other challenges, we're almost an entirely remote company, which, we started in COVID. We started the 4 days before COVID we were forced to be remote. I think that actually...
And you guys are on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So like you were weeks before Texas COVID.
Yeah, and months longer.
Yes.
Years longer.
Yeah.
A lot of different. We don't need to move on. So we had to be remote for a long time. It was nice because at the beginning we had 3 people, so we did kind of dodge some of the regulations and we worked together, which was awesome and a fun startup vibe. Our first person we added outside of that founder team was in New York City though, so that was remote. And then we're like, hey, this is working fairly well. Let's try to change that. The challenge on that has been building culture, which has been a focus of mine for the last quarter. It's hard. I think we're doing an okay job, maybe a B-. Can do a lot better. And I have we do quarterly goals. This last quarter, our initial kind of cultural deck was my goal. So that's just coming around, but that's kind of the foundation point. So growing from there. And I'm very excited about what we'll do. Though there's a big piece of me that still would like an office. It's fun to go into work and see a bunch of people there. And I don't think that'll ever, shouldn't say ever. It won't happen for a long time for us.
Yeah. And that's one thing that actually we were talking about today, and we've had several conversations about it is, so I run a remote company as well. Right. And since 2020, everyone went home and we all decided to work in our pajamas for the rest of the time. Yeah. Right. And just to throw a polo on if we have a client meeting. But, how do you, and the question then remains, how do you preserve that culture or build culture, right, as you're building a company, and how do you retain that?
Well, I have the answer exactly. No, just kidding. In Discovery, I think the first thing that we did that worked really well. Do you know Traction or Entrepreneur Operating System?
Yep.
I love it.
When you said quarterly, I was like, Go ahead, say rock.
Rocks.
Get your rocks.
Yes, we have those. It's such a good system. We've adapted it a little bit to fit us, and that's kind of what I like about it. It's flexible, but the meeting structure on those is just so good.
Yeah.
That alone, because we're remote, we revolve so much around meetings because we have to schedule time with each other, basically. That the fact that those meetings are efficient and therefore not unenjoyable, that has set us up really, really well. The other thing we've done that I think has been really good is it's in our values. It's the last one. It just is, we have fun. So we need to have, if you're not enjoying what you're doing, you're fired. No, just kidding.
You're out of here.
Love it every day.
There's a jar of Kool-Aid by your virtual door every day. You better drink.
You must drink.
It's maroon.
Oh, obviously. But that has worked pretty well for us. And so we do silly video calls. We now regularly do, backed by popular demand, company trivia. So every quarter, my brother, who I still work with, he puts together this trivia where he finds a bunch of pieces of furniture and asks 3 questions about it. And then you put together in teams and you go through and you have to answer the questions. There's no prize. Nobody really cares, but it's a really fun time. Huh. And so we do things like that. And everybody seems to actually enjoy it. I was told the other day while I was interviewing people on kind of the next phase of our culture, she's like, this is genuinely the first place I've ever worked where everybody is actually nice. I was very, very pleased with that.
Cool.
I was like, I want to. I don't spend so much time at work. Like, I don't want to be mean to anyone, and I don't want anyone else to feel like they hate it. It's a big chunk of their life. That's how we do it so far. Ask me again next year.
When we've doubled.
Yeah. And it'll be a lot harder.
Yes.
It will be. I'm not unaware of the big challenge coming ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So as you're looking forward to next year, I mean, you've obviously got a large pipeline of the producers, the manufacturers that you're working through, and then you're going to start attracting. You're continuing to build out your developers that come work with you. What is the biggest challenge over the next 12 months? Is it just going to be delivering on what you've got, but it also sounds like you're very hungry and a creative team, and you want to get better. So what is maybe your yearly targets?
Yeah, well, we are doing our annual planning offsite 2 weeks from now. So I will.
So when this drops, you see, give us an insight. Let's see how good you are.
Yeah, great. We have a couple areas that are challenges. The first I said is, now that we're really engaged with a number of vendors, managing the level of engagement they want from us, or they're offering us, actually. And like, it's almost stupid not to take advantage of how much money they're willing to provide in the co-marketing is a challenge. It's already a challenge right now. And vendors talk to us almost every day about things they'd like to do together. And like, nobody has time to do that right now, although it's awesome. So that's going to be a challenge, figuring out how to build up a team, or when we're first starting out, we like to say build up a discipline of how we're going to live that as a business will be a challenge. Did it before on the sales side. I think we can do it again even easier, because we kind of have that muscle memory, and it's going to be linked.
Tell me a little bit more about this. How do you, because this is more than just taking a process and defining a process. It's building a discipline in the company itself.
Yeah.
How do you replicate that?
So first off, I will go back in. I should say I'm not a very linear person, which has always been a challenge for me to give clear, concise answers. But we first started with that kind of a language and thinking about the problem when we were looking to hire our first salesperson. And a lot of our advisory board members or other investors are like, well, we're really not excited if you just go hire a good salesperson. I think that's not going to work. They were like, we've seen a bunch of other companies just go hire a superstar salesperson and then crash and burn because they expect that person will just work. And one of our most engaged advisory board members was like, you really need to build up the discipline of being a sales team. And so we did go hire maybe not like superstar, but a guy with a ton of experience, who's a little bit more expensive than we were looking for, to be our VP of sales. But around that, we also at the same time planned for new software engagement, planned for the support team I was talking about before, that would be able to do some customer service. And that whole sales wasn't looked at as a person, but as its own part of the business. And how's it going to engage with that? How's it going to work with the catalog team? How's it going to, actually a big part, how will it affect culture? Because I think I feel that, and I know a lot of other people say like sales can be kind of arrogant or weird and disjointed from the rest of the team. So how can we do that? And I don't know that we have like a cookie cutter, like that's how we'll take that and apply it to vendor relations. But we know that it's a complex problem. It's not just hire an account manager. It's going to be that, and they're going to have to work closely with marketing. So we'll need some processes, probably need a software, potentially need an additional person who does just the relay of information back and forth. And the discipline aspect comes because everybody in the company is going to need to learn that they have a new body part effectively, which I think they'll be very excited about, but it's not we don't have the muscle memory for that right now. And
you have to support it.
Yes.
In maybe a minute way, depending on where you are, but it touches every part of the company, impacts every part of the company. And so you're going to have to change what you do
yes,
for the long-term health of this company.
Yes. And we spend a lot of time, maybe 30 minutes in all of our weekly meetings talking about what processes we're going to change. Just might be an exaggeration, but maybe not by much, but because the processes have to keep up with what's happening. And if we make a decision, like that's Caleb, again, super good at that. Like, okay, what does every process this decision touches? How are we going to modify that now? So that is a very important thing that we are doing now, and I think will help accommodate exactly what you were just saying.
And is that part of your level 10 meetings, or is that a separate meeting that you're talking about processes?
Yeah, it's kind of just part of it. So when we have our IDS, whatever that stands for, discussion phase.
Yeah.
We have pretty open discussion about everything. The last part of that is like, okay, what does this mean for us? How are we going to assign to-dos? What software needs to be updated? What on the website needs to be updated? So kind of just caught automatically in those, which again is why I think traction is really helpful, because otherwise all of those pieces
Managing
get lost.
the chaos.
Yes. Yeah. And it almost feels fun.
Another quick question, digging further into that. Do you meet with the entire 21 person team every week at your level 10, or have you broken those out into different team meetings?
Yeah, we broke them. We actually never had them all combined. I don't know if that's a good idea or not.
That would be a long meeting.
It would be a very long meeting.
Just even getting through, the first part of the level 10 of sharing good news would just take forever.
Right? No, we have them broken out into the leadership, which is at the level 10. We just call it leadership meeting. And then each department has that same meeting.
Yeah.
Again, that's actually a little cultural issue. I think it's efficient-wise good that we do it that way. That does create the issue of like sales team and catalog team who do need to know what each other are doing.
Yeah. Don't
always. And so we're trying to fight against that now. Sometimes one person will go to the other meeting just to have that
that's a good idea
on board. We're playing around with what will work well. So we don't have a perfect system for that.
Then make sure that the cascade of information gets back.
Yeah. Where it needs to
just
go.
come and take notes. Actually go tell the other salespeople this is what's going on.
Yes. Otherwise, nobody will have any idea what's happening.
I mean, you'll be in the know.
Yeah. No one else will. That's a problem.
So Alex, where's your BHAG? Where do you envision the company being in 10 years?
Yeah. When we first set out, we asked ourselves this question, and we have it kind of in a couple different ways, but the main thing we set out is kind of like a guiding statement for our marketing almost. And so we want to be the vendor of choice for every designer entering the business.
Ooh, I like that.
And we think that allows us to know that we want to have a cool, exciting brand. We want to care about the next generation that's coming up. And we want to be well-known and respected for what we do in the customer service, because it's a lot of referrals like, oh, go do that. Why not? And so the other way we think about that is like when you start your design business, you should get your QuickBooks, your business license, and your Daniel House Club membership. And kind of that level of top of mindness. And we're not there yet, but it's still, there's so much more that statement has to give that I'm super excited by it. Obviously, financially, we have some goals. We want to be a few $100 million, which I think is very doable. The industry is actually super large. And we want to have, I forget exactly what this is now because the number doesn't matter so much, but we want to have something like 3 good, better, best options for every type of product you would look for in a house, which adds up to being a little over 1 million products. So
not quite a gazillion.
We actively don't want a gazillion. That's too much work to look through. And we're supposed to be the quickest place to find and buy what you're looking for. So that would not be that.
Well, Alex, this has been pretty freaking awesome. How do the Aggies that are listening to this right now get in touch with you, support you, and encourage you moving forward?
Yeah, very good question. Well, we're obviously always available on our Instagram, danielhouse.club, which is also the website, danielhouse.club.
Nice.
Makes that easy. I will happily admit, I hate email. I do have one, though. Alexander Spalding at danielhouse.club. And it is the fun emails are the ones, connecting with people. who are from this shared background, shared interests. That would be a lot of fun, or even more likely to get responded to as concierge at danielhouse.club. Because they respond to everything.
It's like, I'm an Aggie. I need to get to Alex. Please forward this to the top of his inbox.
That happens. I am not good at email. I do try, but I'm very bad at it.
Well, Alex, thank you again so much for joining us. Congratulations again on your Aggie 100 win. We cannot wait to celebrate with you tonight, with you and your team. This has been amazing.
Well, thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun sharing.
Well, how about that, Ags? Was that pretty amazing or what? I know that I've got tons of notes here, that I took down, and it's really hard to compile with such, we've had such good episodes at these in-person Aggie 100 interviews. What's your biggest takeaways there, Greg?
Well, there's two of them that really struck out in my mind. The first one was when he talked about process. I mean, you don't grow 275 compound growth, year-over-year growth for over 3 years without having your processes wired tight, as efficient as possible, and maximized. So to be able to focus on that in whatever business we have, and to say, this is the process that I do it, and this is how we're going to be efficient, that was so important. And such, I mean, it's like, duh, I started to make lists of, okay, how do I better codify and process or the processes in my business. So that was a takeaway. But then also, and this may not necessarily apply to everybody, but in some form or fashion, I think it does. He talked about taking advantage of the co-branding opportunities. And in his world, it was like actually going to the supply houses and be like, hey, do you want to pay half of this marketing bill?
Yeah.
So if you're in a business that you could do that, then heck yeah, that's awesome. I'm not necessarily in that type of business, but it's a great idea. And it's a creative entrepreneurial idea of, you don't have all the cash in the world to get your value and your brand and your company out there, but other people's money is just as green. So use their money. So
that's right.
What about you?
So I liked how he said, when we were talking about hiring, he said that he likes to find people who know how to do business, right? People who understand that they're not just going to take marching orders and do exactly what you say, although that is valuable. And we just talked about processes, right? But people who know how to do business, right, is meaning that people that, have done it before, right? And can do whatever task, job, that needs to get done. I think that's one of my biggest takeaways there. And then the discipline of the sales team for the whole company, right? And we asked him to clarify what he meant there. And it's basically having a sales culture, right, for the entire company, and to keep the customer as the central point. Right? How can we make their lives easier? Right. And I think that's how he has achieved his rapid growth rate there, 275%. I mean, I don't even know what that would mean, 5xing, 10xing your company in order to actually achieve that in those 3-year time frame that's amazing to me. Those are my two biggest takeaways there.
100%. And Ags, if you're not connected with Alex, do yourself a favor, connect with him. I know that he would love to get to know you, love to be able to speak entrepreneurship with you, and just, share more wisdom that he has. If you're not connected with Chris or I or Aggie Growth Hacks on whatever social media platform you're on, please do that. And if you're listening to Aggie Growth Hacks on a podcast app, hit subscribe, give us a big gig'em thumbs up, and write a review so that we can get this podcast out to more Ags and connect one another.
We also want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship at Texas A&M University. Since 1999, the McFerrin Center for Entrepreneurship has served as the hub of entrepreneurship for Texas A&M. If you're an Aggie entrepreneur or even a wantrepreneur, head on over to their website right now to find a program that's right for you. Just go to aggiegrowthhacks.com/McFerrin. Well, Ags, join us next time when we connect with another great Aggie entrepreneur and learn how they hack their growth. Until then, I'm Chris Hunter.
And I'm Greg Martin. Thanks and gig 'em.